I was asked for an assessment to do a film review. To do this without doing any of the work necessary to do it, I'm going to use lies and deceit to trick my squad into thinking that I actually did the work. So that's a no to lying. But what the hell is this? Am I actually meant to do the work myself? Before we do any of that, we're going to need to know the film itself. So let's do that right now with a bit of help from my best friend, Wikipedia. The film was released under the rating of G in the year 2000 and was titled as a family adventure film. Now the film came out to very mixed reviews. There were some people who absolutely loved it and some people who absolutely hated it. The main reason for this is because it was so different to what Thomas was. Originally when it was created with the intention to be as realistic as possible. This was anything but realistic. And as a result of all this controversy, it did laughably bad at the box office. It was so goddamn awful that many said that it was the start of the downfall of Thomas the Tank Engine. It made so little at the box office, in fact, that the Brit Allcroft Company, the studio behind Thomas the Tank Engine, was nearly bankrupted by the whole misadventure, and if it wasn't for season 6 coming out 2 years later, and the merchandising, they would have very well gone bankrupt. The film was live action, but the production of the film was rather difficult because they had never done anything like this before. They had to use both the model trains and human actors, which would be the only time actual live human characters would be used. To get the movie to work, they would first have to film the motion of the locomotives, and then the actors in front of a green screen, where, whilst editing the movie, they would put the footage of the locomotives on the green screen. And for scenes where the actor had to interact with the locomotives, they would have to build either partial or complete human-sized replicas of the locomotives. Meaning, yes, somewhere out there, there is a partial or complete human-sized model of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it is on my Christmas wish list. But who wouldn't want an actual human-sized scale Thomas the Tank Engine? Yes, it would be expensive, but just think of the bragging rights. I would kill for this. So that's a brief history of the film and its production outlay. Now I'm going to spend a good few minutes giving my personal opinion no one asked for the film. Just keep in note, I'm probably not going to mention any of the plot for reasons we'll come to later. And because I'm nostalgic for this, I'm going to be a bit biased about the movie. So if you don't like it, go cry me a river or something. First of all, the music composed by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell was the best part of the movie by far. They had been composing music since season 1, and like always, they knocked it out of the park. Every theme for each character was catchy, and the really useful engine musical number was a really well-made update to the original version, and well-directed. Credit also goes to all the sound effects in the film, which were really well-made. What was also amazing was the editing. As I said, they had to use both the model trains and human actors, and most of the sets were to scale of the locomotives, not the humans. That means there were only 5 sets built to scale of the humans, and so almost every scene had to use green screen. And I gotta say, it does look believable. Whoever was in charge of the editing did a really good job at making these toy models look like they were actually to scale with the humans. That's not all the tricks they had. They had some other tricks, like whilst filming the models, they would film it at a higher frame rate, then whilst editing it, they would slow it down so that the steam would look like it had some actual weight to it. Then there were the special effects used for the gold dust, which at times did look good, but other times just failed to look actually decent. And then there's the CGI Thomas rolling down the side of Muffle Mountain at Shining Time Station, which does look okay, but it could be done better. Next is the voice acting and just acting in general. Everyone did a really good job at their roles. They all leaned into their characters and tried their hearts out to do the best performance ever. except Peter Fonda, who really looks like he just wants to jump off a bridge. Apart from that, Michael E. Rogers played Junior perfectly, same for Alec Baldwin with Mr. Conductor, and then the voice actors like Neil, who did Gordon in Diesel 10, and Edward, who did Thomas the Tank Engine, both did their jobs amazingly. Then there were two voice actors who weren't bad by any means, but their roles really weren't well suited for them. Those two actors would be Susan and Linda. Susan voiced James and Linda voiced Percy. Now, I'm not saying they were bad or anything, it's just for the characters they had, they sounded a bit too feminine. Now that's where all my positives for the movie ends. And you may have realised that I may have left one thing out right. You may have noticed that I didn't mention the story at all. Can you guess what the one and only flaw in this movie is yet? Now, it's not as bad as, let's say, the Shannon era of Thomas the Tank Engine or Big World Big Adventures, but as far as it goes, it was pretty bad. Overall, this hot mess, which barely resembled a story, was just filled with plot holes and dead-end storylines. And for this we have to thank the test audiences who just wouldn't stop shoving their unwanted opinions into the movie. And because of their never-ending screwing about, characters like Edward were removed because they were too boring, and characters like P.T. Boomer were removed because they were too scary. Then there was the whole inclusion of Shining Time Station, and because most of the viewers were British, Britt Allcroft had to spend hours rewriting the script, setting aside 20-30 minutes of the movie just to explain Shining Time Station and its characters, which there were about 7 new ones. And as a result of all this constant rewriting of one script after another, the movie got to a point where it was just barely faster than a crawl. And what really doomed this movie for failure and got a lot of people absolutely pissed off was the inclusion of magic. Because when this was originally created by Wilbert Awdry, he wanted this to be as realistic as possible. That's why most of the characters are based off real locomotives, and most of the events are based off actual events. It was probably a good thing for Britt Allcroft. Wilbert Awdry was already dead by this point, because if he was alive, he would have absolutely lost it with her. Now, there is a director's cut of this movie, which hasn't been released yet, apart from just a few bits of leaked footage. But I bet if we actually got it, it would be way better than whatever the hell this mess we got was. Okay, so that's good and all, but now I need to review a scene, and I'm gonna show it right now. Where the hell
I'm sorry, Lily. I'm sorry, cause I haven't been whatever it is. Responsible, reliable, really useful. But I will be! I will be! James!
So you've lost your sparkle too, huh? Bye-bye, Twinkle Toes.
It's empty.
Here we go.
Junior, what are we gonna do?
We'll think it's something.
That's it.
I'll find you some more, Lily. I promise. If I'm going to be any help at all, it's now or never. I've got to use up the rest of this stuff.
Are you ready?
No, we're not.
James the Brains, get us out of here.
Now we are.
What the?
Hoo-yah! Ha!
Bye, James. Oh. Sorry it'd be so long, cuz. But better late than never.
Junior, we're all out of gold dust, aren't we?
Bankrupt. Hey, it's a beautiful day. I mean, we're down, but we're not out.
No, we're out. But we are not down.
Just a little fun fact, whilst filming that scene, the model for James did fall off the edge of the set. Story-wise, this scene is just meant to act as a bridge from the rising action to the climax. Since gold dust is used in this movie to do all sorts of wacky-tacky magical things, they are now stuck on Sodor until Lady the magic engine is fixed, because apparently she makes gold dust or something. From there, Lady is apparently fixed because all she needed was special Sodor coal, and then there's a chase scene where Diesel 10 somehow hangs on a wooden sleeper for 10 seconds before falling about 120 feet off the side of a bridge into a barge full of mud, completely undamaged somehow. Can you see now why no one liked this story? Also, if you don't know who Lady is, then good, because despite being such an important character in the movie, she only appears like one other time throughout the entire show, and then is absolutely forgotten. Okay, so that's good, but I still have to explain the technical merits of this scene. So if you, nosy little viewer, shut up and listen, maybe we can. Also, movie-wise, this scene isn't really special, and so won't have that many technical merits, so be ready to be disappointed. Just like my parents were with me. First of all, they had two sets. The scrapyard was made to scale with the engines, and the outdoors area place thing was made to scale with the humans. When filming the models, the camera they used filmed at a higher frame rate than the camera they used to film the human actors. And as I said, this was common practice and was all done to make the steam effects look like they were more realistic and heavier. And I gotta say, it does work. The particle effects used for gold dust were edited in cleanly and formed the shape of James and Junior relatively nicely in a way that was somewhat convincing that gold dust was dust. The last positive for this scene was the sound effects and music, which personally I do think is very fitting for the scene. The crunching sound effect for Pinchy the Claw, yes, that's its actual name, made it sound like it was a really strong and fast claw, easily capable of crushing anything it grabs. And because of that, it's really unsettling, because then you envision how painful it would actually be to be grabbed by that. Then there are the sound effects used for the buffers as it's being broken, the creaking of the wood, and the bolts dislodging, which, whilst yes, could be done better, still is really good for its time. Then there's the music made by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell, and I gotta say, it slaps. You don't know, hey viewer, I'm about to go on a rant, and that's no good. So if you don't want to listen to that, please skip this part of the video. Either that or do not comment about it at all. I'm going on a bit of a rant now. You know what? You don't need it to... Bye. They were amazing, okay? They are literal masters when it comes to music. They did an amazing job for Thomas the Tank Engine and a TV show called Tugs. I can remember almost every single theme from the classic series, and they're all amazing, they're all unique, they're all catchy, and they're all short, which I just love about it, okay? They did an amazing job, and to be honest, no one could have done any better. I really shouldn't have knocked down my chair like that. Oh well. As you can tell, I absolutely love their music. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, how amazing this music is. Going on, the score you heard in that scene was this movie's danger theme, being played when something was about to happen, or was happening. It was first played when the viaduct was first shown to be falling apart, important later in the movie, and during the chase scene, and I must say, it was really amazing. It was great at creating suspense, and I just loved it overall. Now, I'm not sure if you agree with this, but the one flaw I consider in this scene and the entire movie is the voice actor for James. As I said, he just sounds too feminine, considering he's like 60 years old at this point. That's all for now, I guess. All I got to say now is that you wasted 15 minutes of your life listening to me, a 14-year-old boy, ramble about how he feels for an old movie no one cares about anymore. And now I gotta ask you this. Are you really proud of yourself?